Hey, what's going on? So here is kind of the state. I didn't take very good video of the cap corners before cutting them out. So I have some pictures that I'll kind of show you that really sets up the video. So here's kind of what we're looking at. Both the inside and the outside of the cap corners were just rotted out completely. You can see here, let me find picture. Here's kind of behind that cap corner. So this here is just underneath the frame, and you can see that it's totally rusted through. And let's see what else we have. So I cut out the cap corner, and you can see, yeah, there's a hole through this piece, and then there's another piece on the back. See if you guys can see that. See right here, and they've got all that foam, and this piece here was all rusted out. So the part of the video that you're going to watch is kind of after this piece here is replaced and the inside's cleaned up a little bit. You can see here's the outside of the cap corner, so it's, yeah, definitely needs to be replaced. So let's see here. Let's see. What do I got? Okay, so this is after I've welded in. So this, no. Okay, so this guy, I've cut this out at this point, welded in a new piece, and then I've used fiberglass just to seal it. Just a fiberglass putty. And then you can see in this picture, I've actually created a panel. I cut out this. This is kind of the higher, I'm gonna get lost here. So underneath this piece that kind of comes down here, you can see that's this piece here, and I removed that, and I've cut out this bottom of the floor, which is also connected to this guy here. So I basically made this panel at this point, welded it in, fiberglass, put some fiberglass in on kind of them seams, and that's kind of where we're at when we break into the video. I guess I should show you this as well. So this is kind of, yeah, the back end. I'm getting all this cleaned up, and this piece right here, this was rusted out. So I have, at this point, I've cut it out, welded in a new piece to go right here. And so that's kind of where we're at as we jump into the video here, and I show you guys just making this panel and what it's all about. So let's roll. Okay, so this is done a little bit of work here already. You can see that the inside of these cap corners are toast. I mean, look at them. And so, yeah, I don't have any video, again, cutting it out, but I just kind of want to show you the piece I'm making heavily in this video is that top piece. This bottom piece here, I actually already have installed, and we'll jump to that right now here, so you guys can have a peek. Okay, so here you guys, there's actually a little piece you'll see here in a minute that, yeah, right there, that when I was making that interior cap corner, I don't know if I miscut it, I can't remember, but anyways, there ended up being a gap there, so we're just welding the piece in here. And yeah, I didn't take much video beforehand of actually tearing out the cap corners, cutting them out, and then putting them in, but I'll try to do the other side with a little more documentation. And again, I'm just a weekend warrior, so definitely not a professional by any means. And there I was just fiberglassing kind of where I welded just to waterproof it. And then here I'm making that interior piece that actually sits over the piece that I was just showing you. And this is a really tough piece to make because of all the curves, and you know, I don't have an English wheel or anything like that. So it's all done basically with a hammer and this vise. And I had to make this piece in actually 2 pieces because I couldn't figure out a way to make it in 1 piece. And so it definitely was the most challenging piece, but it actually went pretty smooth. Took my time. It took basically all day to make this 1 piece and get it fitted and installed. And yeah, it was just a lot of fitting and checking and fitting. See, that guy goes right there. And it actually came out really close to the stock one, which I was pretty happy about, because again, this is first time kind of doing something like this, and for a first time I thought it went pretty good. So let's get this guy prepped. So yeah, this ends up being 2 pieces, but it again, like I said, it went pretty good. So hopefully once we get this done, I'll get the new fender on that passenger side. I'll flip it around, and on the other side it needs a lot more work. It needs the full rocker, and needs obviously the cap corners, and then the driver fender as well needs to be replaced. So yeah, just using the bar here to kind of bend the metal to get the right curvature to match the existing piece that we're going to be welding to. Cleaning up all the edges. And here we go. We're going to test fit this again. And it's getting close. But you can see that other piece where there's a gap there, that's the second piece I'm going to actually have to make. And yeah, again, it's just a lot of back and forth. Okay, so now I'm gonna make that second piece, and that it was definitely really tough. This is just gonna give me kind of a general guide, but it definitely was a really tough piece to figure out how to kind of make the right way. I'm sure guys that have a lot of experience know exactly how to do it, or the best way to do it. This is the easiest way I can kind of figure it out. So then I'm just gonna trace the rough outline, just so I can start with a piece of metal, obviously bigger than this, but just to get the general size. And there it is. So I'm gonna rip this off, find a piece of scrap, and get a rough cut general outline of this piece here. Yeah, and I'm gonna start cutting it out. And yeah, just really rough. You know, obviously it being really big. Now I'm cutting this side just to get the right shape. So we'll trace it, we'll trim it out. And again, this was just a lot of test fitting. Back and forth, back and forth. This is definitely the 20-minute version of this project. It was really ends up being basically a two-day project. But pretty happy with how it turned out, because again, that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing of this project, because I've never actually done any fabricating like this. Getting everything cleaned up here. Okay, now for this piece here, again, it's tough because now we got to get, there's so many curvatures and it looks like maybe a simple piece, but yeah, there's a lot kind of going on. So yeah, now we're getting kind of the base of it, the right shape there, the right angle, getting a template. Then we'll cut this baby out. We'll take it to the metal, chop it up, and then I think we're getting pretty close to installing it and welding it in. Yeah, just tracing that, getting the template right. And it's time to cut it out. And then we'll weld those two pieces together, and then we'll actually weld it into the cab. Alright, so now we're just going to test fit it, make sure everything's sitting nice. And we're going to tape it up so we can trace it. And then we're going to cut that out, and then yeah, we'll weld it together. So we're just making sure that we're cooling it down between each kind of tack weld. We definitely don't want to overheat this. We don't want it to warp. But yeah, just take your time, and it'll come together. Okay, now the welding's done, so we're gonna grind out the spot welds, get this nice and cleaned up, and then yeah, we're ready to basically install it. Alright, so I basically used a weld through primer just on the areas we're going to be welding to. Everything's covered up nice, so we're ready to install it. And you can see like it fits pretty dang good for a custom panel. And we'll get this buttoned up, welded up, and then should be good to go. Just hammering away at this corner a little bit just to make sure that it fits and lays down really good before welding it. And this is like really, like, it's not, the metal's not overlapped at all, it's literally butted right up against it. So yeah, pretty happy with how it fit. No big gaps, nothing like that. So just making sure everything's flush as I tack it in. And you know, this really, it doesn't need to be perfect by any means. I mean, carpet goes over it, you're never gonna see it. But for me, it's just really good practice to try to get it as perfect as I can. So yeah, I got that all finished up. Now I'm actually welding in these replacement outer cap corners. And this, I was really nervous about this. But the most important thing, obviously, for me was just making sure that the body line was aligned with the door the best I could, and hopefully just trying to make sure the panel gap isn't too wide or too narrow. Now, these old trucks are definitely not perfect, but just getting it as close as I can, making sure it's flush, making sure everything's level. And for the first time doing it, again, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. After it sits for a couple days, I'll go out and see it again, and get it kind of finished up. But yeah, basically just again, want to make sure everything's level. And once I'm happy with that, I'll tack it at the bottom, and then we'll finish welding it in. So yeah, basically got it all welded up. Finishing it off, then we'll grind it down, and it should be ready for filler. So again, this took a while. Definitely didn't want to overheat the panel. Really took my time. Yeah, so once we finish welding all of this in place, we grind it all down, and boom, there it is. So it actually turned out quite good. Even the fitment in the door jams is actually quite good. Alright, so here we go, mixing up some fiberglass here. And again, this is just to waterproof it. It's a short strain, short hair fiberglass filler. So we throw this on, let it cure for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, and then we can start sanding it down. Okay, so now I'm block sanding this with 80 grit to really just knock this down. This fiberglass is really hard, so it does take quite a bit to kind of sand it down. But once that's sanded down, we'll clean it up and we'll get some body filler in there. So now we're just using wax and grease remover, and we'll mix up some body filler. We'll get this spread on. And then again, once this is spread on, we'll wait about 15 minutes and then start sanding it down. Using 120 or 180 on this sander just to cut it down quick. And then we'll go back with 180 by block. Use a little bit of guide coat just to see where the lows are. And already on that edge of that door, you can see that there's two kind of low spots there where it's black. So yeah, we'll sand this down, and then we'll get another coat on there just to fill out some of those low spots. And then again, we'll cut it down with 120, and then it should be ready just for some primer. So we'll hit it with the wax and grease again. And then, yeah, just hitting some of those spots again that were a little bit low. And then we'll get this all sanded out again. And then, yeah, we'll use some self-etching primer to fill this, to, hit the metal spots specifically. And then once it's dry, we can we'll about to move on. So yeah, you're just sanding it down again. So I use 180, then I go to 220, 320, and then I prime that area. And the reason I'm priming is I don't know if I'm gonna have to pull it outside anytime soon, but then at least it won't, the metal won't oxidize the exposed metal. So we'll just put a little bit of self-etch primer on those metal spots. So there it is, all sanded down. Then we'll, sand it a little bit more with finer grits. Once that's all done, we waxed and greased it, and now I'm just going to spray a little bit of this self-etching primer on just to cover up the bare metal. And then if I have to pull it outside, or the metal won't oxidate. So yeah, that's the cap corners. I'll try to do a better job kind of documenting the other side, cutting them out. But I think overall it went pretty good, and alignment looks good. The bodywork looks pretty good. So there it is.